Morning, everybody. Normally afternoon. We have an early press conference this morning. I want to thank everybody for attending ahead of another big show. March 28th, O2 Arena. Just a wonderful, wonderful main event. David AVANESYAN, the European champion, top 10 ranked in every governing body, takes on Josh Kelly for the European Welterweight Championship. We know the history. We'll talk a little bit about that coming up. It's been a great week announcing the Lewis Ritson card. April the 4th in Newcastle, announcing the signing of Josh Warrington. Yesterday in Leeds. And plenty more action coming and news and announcements over the next week or so as we head coming up to Dallas as well for our next show for Mikey Garcia against Jesse Vargas, Kalya Fire taking on Chocolatito, Julio Cesar Martinez taking on Jay Harris, Madrimov, Joseph Parker, Gassiev, all on show in Dallas before we head back for March the 7th in Manchester for a great fight between Scott Quigg and John O'Carroll. Before we speak to the fighters here today, I'm going to pass over to the head of boxing for Sky Sports, Adam Smith.
Thanks, Eddie. It's been a fantastic week, hasn't it? Josh Warrington, wonderful to have him back with MATCHROOM and with Sky. We're delighted about that. Lewis Ritson, April the 4th, really excited about that. Savannah Marshall also fighting for a world title, particularly great for us, being a former Sky scholar as well. Fight night kicked off in style in Sheffield. Kell Brook returning, proving he's got plenty to offer. And what a wonderful story with Terry Harper as well, becoming a world champion. It's been a great rise for her. Kid Galahad as well shining. What a wonderful start to the new year. And I think this is a fantastic show. It really is. We've talked about the one in Manchester with Scott Quigg and John O'Carroll in March, but late March to have this. A fight we've been waiting for what, 15 months now? Josh Kelly, David AVANESYAN, a brilliant, brilliant match. You know, David's gone on to some terrific performances in 2019. And Josh has it all to prove here. You know, Adam Booth telling us he's the best fighter that he's had. Josh has got all the ability, all the sparkle, all the star quality. Now he's got to prove it on a massive night for the European title. I love his ambition, going for the big fights, but this is a really, really tough fight. A lot of people I've spoken to fancy David in this fight. I think it's a genuine 50-50, and that's what we want. Welcome back to Joshua Buatsi. It should be a magical year for him. I believe Joshua's going to go the whole way. We need to see him really rolling this year, gathering momentum. Down the other side of the top table, Conor Benn. What a story he is. And, you know, forget Nigel for a minute. Conor's doing it on his own. He's a real character. People love him. They want to watch him. He's in exciting fights. How far can he go? It's going to be a terrific night at the O2 on March the 28th. And it's the sort of fight nights you should be delivering, Eddie. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you for that glowing endorsement. Always nice getting your support. Down on the bottom table, we have a couple of very special guests today. Firstly, I'm delighted to announce the official signing of Ellie Scotney, Team GB, great fighter. We'll talk about women's boxing shortly, but this young lady has come to me through Adam Booth, who can't, and I don't want to embarrass you, Ellie, but can't give you enough praise. Talk about your fighting style, your ability, and how he believes you can go all the way to the very top. Great amateur record. Coming out of Catford in South London, we just joked about that. You're going to have huge support at the O2 on March the 28th. And just a minute talking about women's boxing, which is just becoming more and more exciting by the event now. There isn't an event that we do that generally doesn't have a female fight on it, particularly in the UK. We know that Katie Taylor has been, if you like, the trendsetter, not just from the amateur days, but in the professional ranks as well. But now, not just Matchroom fighters as well, but Clarissa Shields and Matchroom fighters as well, Cecilia Breakhouse, and now Terry Harper last week in Sheffield, which was probably one of the most special moments I've seen in boxing. Forget women's boxing, men's boxing, in boxing. Atmosphere in that arena in Sheffield Arena was good enough to headline any main event card on a Saturday night fight night. Her momentum now, her transition across the mainstream media is showing me that women's boxing is becoming more and more popular. The narrative, the stories that these young fighters have are resonating with fight fans, and it is so exciting. And for Ellie, what an opportunity, what a moment to go into women's boxing. So your first professional press conference, Ellie, no pressure. Over to you, March the 28th, O2, excited.
Yeah, honestly, I can't wait. Even being here just seems crazy. I don't really leave Catford, to be honest. So being here and being on an event like that, I couldn't have wrote any bit better myself. And women's boxing at the minute's booming, and I just can't wait to introduce myself on March the 28th.
Tell us about your amateur career. You're obviously a member of the GB squad, asked if you're going to miss Sheffield. You said not particularly, but you had a
Yeah, I
great.
shouldn't mention that,
Not because of the GB team, but maybe the
Yeah.
Catford Massive don't really appreciate life in Sheffield. But
It's different water up there, to be honest. But
but tell us about your amateur pedigree.
yeah, so I had 40 fights. I won 35, and I won the AVA senior title, youth title, European silver, European bronze. So I've been around a bit. I've been punched a bit, as you can tell. But yeah, I'm looking forward to turning a new page, and I can't wait to do it my way this time.
Exciting style. You think your style is going to really suit the pro game?
Yeah, I think I might have to listen a lot more, and move my head a lot more, because I'm hoping to be in the game like a long time. So yeah, I think it will suit me a lot more, and I can't wait to get stuck in.
And just a quick word on some of those female fighters coming through. Of course, Savannah Marshall was part of that GB setup before you. Terry Harper last week, incredible. Katie Taylor, undisputed champion, about to go on and fight Amanda Serrano, Shannon Courtney, Chantel Cameron, Just so many young fighters coming through now.
Yeah, it's crazy, and to be part of the boxing at the minute, I feel like there's a pathway, and I can't wait to walk it too. And to be mentioned among those names it's crazy. It's a great time.
Look forward to seeing your debut, O2 Arena, live on Sky Sports and DAZN, March 28th. Other members of this card which will be taking part on March 28th, Ted Cheeseman, Felix Cash going to be defending his titles as well. This fight down here is an absolute cracker. And this is everything in boxing that makes perfect sense but is sometimes so difficult to deliver. Chris Congo against Luther Clay, WBO global title. Great fight. I want to thank Al Siesta, I want to thank Dillian White and his team for accepting this fight, because both guys, exceptional young talents, both guys that could go their own way, sometimes have found it difficult to carve out their own opportunities and their own paths. We saw Luther Clay travel to Italy recently, get a great win out there, boxed on a Next Gen show. Chris Congo's been knocking on the door for a long time, waiting for the opportunity. When I spoke to Al Siesta, and I mean, Dillian White never turns a fight down, and nor does he turn a fight down for his fighters, especially ones that they believe he's going to win. I put this fight to him. He said, I believe Chris Congo can win this fight. He must take this fight. Spoke to Luther Clay, spoke to Al Siesta. They said, we must take this fight to win and take this opportunity. We know it's a tough fight. We know it's a 50-50. But the winner is going to go on and be a recognised TV fighter. And you've got to take risks. You've got to take opportunities, especially when you're trying to carve your own ones out. So firstly, the challenger for the title. Chris, I'm going to pass over to you. I know for a long time you've been waiting for an opportunity. Now you've got it. O2 Arena, March 28th, live on Sky Sports.
Yeah, I'd like to thank obviously Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Sport, and also Dillian White for the opportunity. We all know I've been waiting for opportunities. Come March, there will be 11 months I've been out the ring. But out of the 11 months, I've been in this gym 9.5, half of them. So I've always been training, always taking over. People always call me for last-minute sparring, top fighters like Josh Taylor and all of that. And the main thing is just staying sharp and staying ready. And I believe I'm coming to take the title regardless of what happens. And I believe this is my time. And when it's someone's time, it don't matter what happens. You just can't stop it. And I believe this is the moment Chris Congo is going to get announced as one of the top welterweights in the division.
Chris, it's a real pick and fight. A lot of people saying that. Of course, Luther Clay come up the hard way, like yourself, smaller hall shows, looking for that big TV opportunity. He got it in Italy. And again, this is just a defining moment for both of you to go and grab this with both hands.
Yeah, 100%. I know it's going to be a good fight. It's going to be a hard fight. But I'm going to be ready. I'm pretty much only 10 to 12 pounds away from my weight. And once I get down, it's all about just keep sharpening up the tools, and I'll be ready come the 28th of March.
Luther, probably a little bit more to lose for you in this fight. Of course, you are champion. You've had a couple of TV appearances recently, went out to Italy, got a great win out there on DAZN. But again, major opportunity for you, big card at the O2, and something you got to grab with both hands.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, every opportunity, everything I've done to get to this point has been a risk, so it's nothing new to me. Chris is a very good boxer. Obviously, he's been around for a long time. Everyone knows him, highly touted. So I'm excited. I'm not really bothered about anything. I'm ready to go. So yeah, I'll see everyone at O2.
Talk about Chris's mentioned he's been slightly inactive. You haven't been. You have had this experience, this championship experience lately, and you have that experience now fighting under the lights in championship moments. You think that's going to be a benefit to you on a night?
I don't know. Maybe it could. I guess because I've been active and he hasn't been active, it could play. But like he said, he stayed in the gym. He spars everyone, and
No
he's
benefits.
got more
I'll be ready.
experience.
I'm telling you. I'll be ready.
Well, you should be ready. You got down there 7 weeks. What you want, a medal?
No, bro. I'm just letting you know I'll be ready, man. That
I don't
title gonna be
care.
here, champ.
It's your job to be ready.
Yeah,
I
champ.
don't care.
All right, champ. You know
Want a
what?
pat on the back for training? It's your
Nah,
job.
bro. This is my job, of course.
All right, then. Well, shut up.
You're funny, you know. You're funny. You'll see March 28th anyway.
We're gonna see.
Knows. Everybody knows.
Well, thank you. I didn't expect that, but I enjoyed it. March 28th, you two. It's a defining moment of your career so far. I love it. I love those kind of fights. Well done for both teams for taking the risk. When we talk about risk, Conor Benn is someone that I have to admit, in the early stages of his career, we managed that risk. We had a great young fighter with some potential, with some pedigree, but with no amateur experience and also worrying about how good he really was. What he has done, and I keep saying in interview after interview after interview, the work that this young man is putting into the gym sometimes goes unnoticed by fans and by people in boxing. He's working harder than anybody in the gym right now. He's probably getting bored of me saying this all the time, but unbelievable discipline and improving so much as a fighter. So much so that the shackles are off. Tony Sims says to me, let him go. Let's find out now if this kid can really fight, because we are sure he can. Big offers went into Johnny Garton. Then they said to me, well, what about fighting Chris Jenkins? He said. We said, no problem. Made him a big offer as well. Nothing back. They'll now fight each other. And Conor Benn has gone from a guy that everyone's been calling up to fight to a guy that actually people don't really want to fight. We're closing in. His opponent will be announced in the next 48 hours. This is going to be a top international fighter. Like I said, the L plates are off for Conor Benn. Conor, you phone me all the time saying, I want this guy, I want that guy. Confident, and 2020, huge year coming up for you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm not fussed who I fight, to be honest. It's irrelevant to me. I'm a fighter and I won't come into this game not willing to fight any man. I've got the best team behind me, best promoter. I'm well looked after, and, who can say they fought at the O2, number of times, and, the way I've been marketed and, the way I fight, I've got the best team in the world, so I trust them. Whoever they put in the opposite corners, that's down to them. My job is to go in there and bash the geezer in the other corner. And, that's it. And I'll go in there and I'll try and iron them out. And it's as simple as that. That's all I train for. That's why I work so hard. We offered Garton the fight. My mouth watered for that fight. Jenkins offered that fight. They brought something to the table, something that I wanted. And, and now we look at top international opponents. So this year's going to be an amazing year. I predict more knockouts, more entertaining fights. Listen, I may hit the deck a few times, but, I'm always going to get back up and give it back. My last 12 fights, 12 of them touched canvas. And I didn't realise that, and I thought, cool. I was happy with that. I was buzzing. So, this year as I get older, stronger, more going to hit the deck harder, except I ain't going to be getting back up. And listen, I'm a fighter through and through, excited for March 28th, and ready to bang them out.
Just that confidence that must come through Tony Sims wanting to step you up now, believing. We all know that Tony, as he should be, is a cautious trainer like many are. They want to take the right steps at the right time. But for him to say and start looking at, another fighter that we offered the fight to, Samuel Vargas, guys that are well beyond the level that you've boxed before, but to have his confidence to do that shows you that he really must be seeing something special in the gym.
Yeah, listen, I wanted Samuel Vargas after I banged out that Koivula. So, it makes no difference to me now, later, I want these fights. And, when my back's pushed up against the ropes, that's when you'll see the true Conor Benn come out. That Paynard fight taught me a lot about myself. I know it was a guy I shouldn't have had a hard fight to, but that taught me a lot about myself. It was at that point I really realised this boy here ain't silver spooned. It's at that point I realised, listen, if you really fancy it, listen, I fancy it too. Do you know what I mean? And, people think, oh, you've had this, you've had that. Well, listen, what's more dangerous? A fighter who has no choice, or a fighter who chooses to fight because he loves to fight? And, that's me. I love to fight. And, when I get my back up, I don't mind having it with anybody. So, it's a promoter's job to put whoever in the opposite corner, and I'll fight him.
Conor, I look forward to seeing you in action March 28th and what is a big year for you. And when we talk about big years, I think this young man in Joshua Buatsi is about to have an absolute breakout 2020. Decided a couple of days ago that he'll be on this card. He's been out for nearly 6 months the time the bell rings on March 28th. Had a virus that ruled him out of the Blake Caparello fight in Manchester in November. And sitting down with Joshua Buatsi and his team recently, it's really good to plan out a schedule. It's not too far to think that in the next couple of months and half a year, he'll be in a final eliminator for the World Championship. As I said to Josh Kelly and him earlier, probably in the toughest division in the sport, with champions like Dmitry Bivol, with Artur Beterbiev as well. But this is a guy that I believe has absolutely all the attributes to mix with the very, very best in the world. He's calculated, he's spiteful, he's meticulous in his preparation. He'll go around things at his team's pace and at his pace as well. And 2020 is a massive, massive year. We want to try and box 4 times this year. And make one thing clear, absolutely imperative, Selhurst Park for the World Championship challenge is a must for this young man, because we were up in Leeds yesterday. Outdoor events are just fantastic. If PBK can get the win, the Stadium of Light is calling for him as well. But Joshua Buatsi is a fantastic, fantastic star, and this is a big year. Josh, frustrating little period for you. Been out the ring for the longest time in your career, back in the gym, ready to go.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Most importantly, everyone's blessed to be alive today to see another day. But yeah, it was frustrating, man. I think about 6 weeks of that camp and I had 3 weeks left, and to have to pull out, I was quite upset. But I thought to myself, if I'm boxing someone that's ill, they wouldn't go past 2. So I thought, why put myself in that position? But quite frustrating. But like you said, I'm back in the gym, preparing towards March 28th. Happy to be on this show. Some great talents, so I'm happy to be mixing up with you guys and girls, sharing it with you. Ellie, Scottney, great talent. So yeah, I feel privileged to be here, man, and roll on March 28th.
We're seeing that transition now between, we talk about those older generation of fighters that are leaving the sport. You know, George Groves, James DeGale, Carl Froch not too long before, Tony Bellew, David Hay, and now the new crop approaching the acid tests of their career. Your Rio teammate, Josh Kelly, about to have by far the biggest fight of his career, and what people say is a 50-50 fight. Those 50-50 fights are approaching for you and Caldina and, you know, all your teammates as the new crop come through for Tokyo next year. It's almost like it's time now for the Rio boys to step up and start having these serious, dangerous challenges.
Yeah, it's almost time, and I think that's the whole thing about this sport. Let's sit down and let's wait, let that bell ring, and we fight. Like Conor Ben says, man, like we all want to fight, and I think the talking bit is a bit easy. That's how I see it. But I think when the bell rings and you've got an opponent that wants to win just like you want to win, then you find out about yourself. And let's be real, I've had 12 fights. They've been a bit testing, but not the 50-50 fights. So for me, when they come, we can sit down and we can see how I deal with it.
We look forward to those moments. I believe you have a huge career in front of you, and we're delighted to be working with you over the next few years and plan that route to the World Championship. Now, this fight, absolute thrilling fight. It's got history, it's got narrative, but most importantly, I'm so happy that it's happening now and didn't happen over a year ago in Sheffield. We remember the occasion. Josh Kelly weighed in for the fight. He was ill overnight, pulled out of the fight on the morning of the fight. I remember getting a phone call from Adam Booth. They were gutted. I had to go to Sheffield and sit down with Neil Marsh, look David AVANESYAN in the eye and tell him that unfortunately the fight that he'd prepared for so long was off and he wasn't fighting that night. It was a very difficult time for everybody involved. But if you look over a year on, look at where they are now. You know, Josh Kelly's been out. He's boxed at Madison Square Garden. Just got a win in Arizona. And what a year David AVANESYAN has had. Went out and demolished Kerman Laranja in front of his home fans in Bilbao, 9,000 of them. Went back and did it again. Early in the fight, just came and boxed on our DAZN Spain show, demolished Del Rio in 1 round. He has now established himself as a top 10 in every governing body and sits on the verge of challenging for a world title again after winning the WBA regular title. Josh Kelly is a man that has everything in front of him, an absolute potential superstar. And people talk about this fight headlining the O2, Sky Sports, DAZN. This is it. This is the moment, this is the opportunity that these great young fighters have when they reach the point in their career. This is the transition period from becoming a prospect to a star. And Adam Smith will tell you with these guys, this is the moment where we put our belief into these fighters at the O2 Arena, the biggest stage in the country, headline on Sky Sports, because this is the moment that we find out if everything that Adam Booth says and everything that he believes in and everything that people talk about Josh Kelly and the talent and the ability and the potential comes true. And it's the moment that you press the red button when you say it's time to go. It's time to find out. And the great fighters will rise to those occasions and they'll perform way beyond the levels that they've boxed at before against journeymen and against opposition that they might not have been motivated to face. If Josh Kelly can win this fight, he will go top 5 with every governing body. He will be on the verge of a world championship fight. He will be on the verge of becoming a pay-per-view fighter. And all of those things that he's fighting for, David AVANESYAN has got the chance to become a star himself. O2 Arena, massive audience. It is just a breathtaking fight. The clash of styles, everything. David AVANESYAN, so aggressive, punches so hard. Josh Kelly, the movement, the brain, the mind, the shot selection, everything. This is just the perfect fight, and I cannot wait to see it. Firstly, to the challengers side, Adam Booth. Adam, thank you for coming today. This is it, the one that we've been waiting for a long time, and it's a lot bigger than it was just over a year ago.
You've left nothing for me to say. You're selling it, but it's a fight to sell. If you remember, we first talked about and asked for this fight for the November of that year. It then rolled into the December. Josh then got ill. At that time, nobody knew who David AVANESYAN was really over here. They didn't. But now they do. And he's gone on to have a great year, beating Lejaraha twice and defending his European title. So this fight's a much bigger fight because of that. Josh has evolved, he's improved. I'm going to shut up as quickly as I can because true fighters and fighters that become true champions thrive on competition and they thrive on challenges. And it's when you put challenges in front of the talented fighters and the genuine fighters, they rise to the occasion. And this is the moment I've been waiting for Josh. So I'm just going to sit back, do my job, and enjoy the ride.
I have got a couple of questions, if you don't mind. First one was last December, very frustrating. Feel like Josh got a lot of criticism around that, unfair criticism. Tough period for him that he's ridden the wave of, come back, and that's, I guess, history now.
Look, it is what it is. I've been doing this long enough to know that fighters get injured, fighters get ill. Sometimes those fights don't happen. And it's a shame. It's not the first time I've experienced it. And that's just part of Josh's story and Josh's career, that was that moment in time. Social media and all that nonsense that goes on, it really means nothing to me. And I think Josh has learned over the year that it means nothing to him either. So outside of that, his growth as a young man and his growth as a sports star with this BS social media and everyone has an opinion, it's kind of galvanised him a little bit. And so I'm 14 months happier than I was last time.
And finally, on the fight, how dangerous is David AVANESYAN? How good has Josh got to be on March the 28th? And you believe he'll rise to this challenge and produce a major performance and a victory on
Absolutely. We only think winning. David AVANESYAN's a strong kid. He's been WBA regular champion. Let's not forget that. With one loss to Kavaliauskas. So he's proven that he can come back from a knockout defeat and rise to a new level again. And that is exactly the type of challenge that Josh needs and that Josh wants. And I am just... This is the part of a young, talented fighter's career that I really get excited about because it's meaningful. The wins and the fights kind of up until this point, apart from the Ray Robinson one, people just have expectations. Well, he's going to win, so he's going to look sensational. But this is where Josh gets to prove publicly what we already know.
Before we go to the fighters, going to pass over to Neil Marsh, manager and promoter of David AVANESYAN. Welcome, Neil. Been a frustrating period for you as well, but it's on, it's here. I know you felt that it might not happen, but believe me when I say these guys are ready, and March 28th, we've got a wonderful fight.
Yeah, hello everyone, good morning. Probably now's a good time to bring the past up a little bit. So my apologies, because this fight is fantastic. You've got Eddie Solder fight, David versus Josh. But there's been a lot said on social media, and there's, I'm sorry for taking centre stage here, because it probably will do, because there's 7 fighters on here who deserve a lot more respect than I'll ever do for what they do in their careers. The facts that matters is Booth's a conman. Don't believe his silky talks and the way he's speaking, and believe everything he says. And I'm so sorry for being outspoken and doing a press release the way he did. But somebody has to protect these fighters. And that's all I did with David AVANESYAN. I don't do these press conferences. I don't do interviews. I don't do anything like that. But we'll just go over a couple of the events of the evening. Night before the fight, Adam Booth comes to me and threatens me that if we don't change the fight from 12 rounds to 10, he's pulling out the fight. I went, well, pull out the fight. He says, so then Frank Smith was there, Paul Reddy were there. It's nothing I'm saying, there wasn't leading matchroom officials there. Frank tried coercing me into keeping the fight on and different things. They then start saying it's always been a 12-round fight. It never was a 12-round. It was always a 12-round fight. It was never a 10-round fight. That's what we agreed. Now, the morning of the pull-out, Adam Booth's going to his car, packing his bags. I'm sat with leading matchroom fighters and coaches, laughing. Look at him, he's shit himself. Excuse me language. Shit himself. He's packing his bags, all his bags are going. There's a rules meeting. Every rules meeting, anyone who's experienced in boxing, you have a set of gloves. You check the gloves. You inspect the gloves. Didn't even open them. I said to Carl Greaves, respected guy in the game, what are you doing not checking your gloves? Then he opened one. Guy's a con man. Guy's a con man. That's a fact. You know, I'd like to see what he has to say about what I've just said before I move on to part two. And again, just one last thing. I never ever disrespect any fighter, and I'm sorry about it, because I do respect what Josh has done in a career, and no doubt he'll make a great fighter. But it's very important the public know exactly what Booth's about.
Do you want to go on to part?
Is that no comment, yeah?
Not a Q&A session for you, son.
No, not at all. But you're full of shit, Adam. That's what it is. Secondly, Eddie promised us the return of the fight. So we said, OK, no problem. Get hold of Eddie. A leading, we was going for March in Newcastle. We was going. Eddie weren't responding. Matchroom weren't responding. They'd respond a couple of times. They'd say, yeah, we'll have a date this week, we'll have this. The top of the bill in the North East, a matchroom fight, and I don't want to start bringing other fighters in, had tweeted that Josh Kelly's pulled off the bill. Josh is then saying that we're moving on to a more glamorous fight. It's full of shit. It's not. I got tired of asking by email and asking for the fight. What do you do when a kid pulls off a bill when you schedule for it? You know? Listen, I will respect Josh Kelly when he gets in the ring with David AVANESYAN. And that's it, you know? Is there anything you got to say about what I've said?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, me? Yeah, I think some of what you say is correct, but I'm more interested in the fight. I think there's a lot of comments to be made around the situations. I can tell you from this side, Josh Kelly and Adam Booth have asked me to make this fight with you. And they're in this fight. They're taking part in this fight. They're in front of you. So the past is the past. I'm pleased we have a fight with so many talking points, so much hype, and so much on the line. Now I want to hear from you on the fight. Yeah. Because it worries me that you think they might not turn up for the fight.
I am concerned that they won't turn up. You know? Like if I were managing Josh, I wouldn't be taking AVANESYAN. We're not talking 38, 39-year-old boxer who's had his best days. You're talking a kid who's in the best form of his life, who's hungry, whose total desire is to provide for his family. And that'll be with beating Josh Kelly. Last thing I want to say on the past. If any of the mainstream media want to come to me, I've got absolutely everything, what I've just said, from emails chasing for fights, to emails off to WBA confirming the fight with 12 rounds. Got everything in black and white, and anybody's free to see it. I will do an exclusive with someone after, because I know Adam will release his own later. But anyway, that's all I have to say on the past. No, he will. He'll try to justify what I've said. He's full of shit. And afterwards, I'm going to release something, and somebody will see, all the public will see what it's about. But anyway, that's it on the past. But anyway, going forward.
Last one on the fight. What happens in this fight, March 28th?
David, I have got absolutely no doubt AVANESYAN knocks Josh Kelly out. It'll be a difficult fight for 5-6 rounds. He's a fantastic amateur. He'll be moving a lot. He's got a lot of speed. But David's going to get to him. That's why they tried to cut the 2 rounds off the last fight. David,
I will just say on that, Neil, that all the WBA fights that we've been involved with Josh were 10 rounds. So, again, that's probably more of an error from our side. But, again, not taking sides with anyone. I love this. Carry on. But for that particular point, we can see it. But I know you got your notes and all your bits and pieces, but just finally, big fight for your man.
Yeah,
Bang
definitely.
there for the World Championships now, top 10 in every governing body, ready to go.
Yeah, what we did prior to the Kelly fight in the first place, he'd been beat by Kowalowskis, and we sat there waiting for the right fight. We had loads of offers, could have took fights all over. We highlighted Kerman, we highlighted a kid called Quadrilla, who is number 2 now in the IBF, who's fighting Limpinets soon, I think for the regular title. And it was about waiting for the right fight at the right time. And I remember we was at the Glenfoot fight with Team Robbie Davis, and we got the call off Eddie, and we put the phone down, and I couldn't believe me luck. Josh Kelly. He was one of the fights we really wanted, and knew David had his number. We all know the events have gone on probably a little bit too much. Fight fell through. We then picked up, we went on to Kerman in Spain, and we all know what David did. And with Adam saying nobody knew who AVANESYAN was, come on. You know, he'd boxed Shane Mosley on CBS in the US, which was massive viewing figures, terrestrial TV over there. He'd boxed Peterson in a very close fight, which again did huge numbers. Broner's of massive numbers in America. And David was co-main on that. And it was to say nobody knew who he was. Yeah, his profile's a lot higher. His form coming into this is a lot higher. But we're ready. And if you look at Josh's last 2 performances, if anything, we're more confident. You know, and that's no disrespect to Josh. I just think the fight is just that little bit too soon for him. He's going to turn a great fighter, and Adam's a great coach. You know, it's the personal things where I'm not happy with, but he will. Josh will come a great fighter, but now's the wrong time.
Thank you, Neil. Josh?
Yep.
This is it, mate. We've not really had this before. It's exciting. It's hype. It's main event. It's Sky Sports. It's
It's gotta
talking
come one
points.
time,
It's
hasn't it?
opinions. It's social media.
Yeah.
It's everything that big time boxing's all about. You ready? You ready to do this? This is the moment where you really get that spring in your step. This is the big
Hold on.
challenge now.
How, man? As up and Sunderland would say, how, man? Bring it on. Aye. Red and white through and through. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. A fight's a fight. When I stepped in on the 28th, all the past, all the talk which went on in the past. The emails back and forth or whatever you want to say, I don't know. To be fair, we got one story, they got another story, so it's always going to be back at their story, our story. So you can go back and forth all day, but the main thing is we're fighting on the 28th and stepping in the ring. Do you know what I mean? That's what it comes down to. So
I know at the time how disappointed you were to
Yeah.
not fight on in December. I know how disappointed you were to get the criticism of people suggesting that you weren't ill. We know you were ill going into that fight. How difficult was that to overcome, and how much does that make you want to prove yourself even more on March 28th?
no, but, I mean, social media is a platform to give anyone a voice. So at the end of the day, the people who had the voices come on the social media and try to put people down. And if you take note of that, you can let it in your conscious mind. You sort of take it on board and you can let it affect you. But you can do the opposite thing, which I've did, is keep my head down, keep off that stuff, and just focus on what I'm good at in the gym, focus on my weaknesses, focus on my positives, come through, train hard, and do what I've got to do. People can take comfort in whatever they see right to take comfort in. Be that the pull out, be that my last 2 fights. That's on them. On me, I've got, like everyone says, the biggest task in the world going forward. As Neil just says, I shouldn't be stepping. It's too early for me. So I've got all this stacked up against this. So I'm an underdog. I enjoy being an underdog. Underdog since day one, really. To make it out of where I've come from. So I'm doing well, man. I'm happy where I'm at, headlining the O2. So I'm feeling good.
on that, it's quite unusual for someone with so few fights to be the betting underdog going into the fight. Does that actually give you a little bit of buzz that you're the underdog for this fight? And how dangerous is David AVANESYAN in this fight?
David is a quality fighter, and to say, like we said before, that no one knew David before the fight, it wasn't that no one knew of him, it's just the casuals didn't get hold of him. But now that the casual fans do, this has come twice as big of a fight. If you're in boxing, you know David, but if you're not and you're a casual boxing fan, then you wouldn't. That's why I was Bookie's favourite going into that fight, the first fight. But this time round, it's changed. It doesn't really matter what the odds are to me, to be fair. I go in and do my job, but like, to say that he was unknown to the casual fan is true. To say that he was unknown to the boxing world and the true hardcore boxing fans is false. But now he's crossed that bridge where he's now everyone knows him who's out there, and the boxing fans know how dangerous he is, as he's come off three good wins. He's a great fighter. David's a good fighter. I'm just really, really confident and doing what I'm doing in the gym, the work what I'm doing in the gym is going to provide, and I'm going to perform on the 28th.
And finally, there are worries, concerns that you might not be there on March 28th. You'll be there and you'll be firing 100%.
I'll be there.
David, champion, welcome. It's been a long time, but you have been active. You've had an amazing year, and big fight for you, big moment, March 28th.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, last year is for me, is for my career. Boxing is very good. I want everything for this year. Same for big fight. Is now very confident for 28 March for fight for Josh Kelly. Many people ask me, David, you before saying for WBA champion, you now maybe many boxer for world title. And after no hungry, I say everybody I'm very hungry. I want win and I need win. And
I remember when I had to sit down with you to talk on the day of the fight, when it fell through. Yeah. You were very disappointed. I could see the look in your eye. You looked like you were going to punch me, actually, as well. It was a frustrating time for you. But now the fight is much bigger. Everybody is excited for this fight. I guess you don't worry too much about the talk, but you have a point to prove and you want to win this fight badly.
Yes, last year many people understand for I go fly for England 6 month training before fight is your hard work and every day is your go for your for fight. You don't see your family is only training, my coach and sleeping 6 weeks and go for fight. Before fight maybe 4 hours says no fight. I'm really disappointed, yeah. And I never speak bad for everybody for about Josh, and Josh give me bad time for last December. Is 28 March I want is I happy for 28 March. I have fight for London and England. England #1 boxing fan is England. People very good understand boxing. I like, and 28 March I recover Josh, but feel.
Very feel.
Very feel.
And final question, talk to us about the fight. People talking about your strength, your aggression, your punching power against Josh's skills, his movement. Do you win this fight, and do you win this fight by knockout at the O2?
I'm ready for win fight. I don't know knockout points. For me, no important. For me, important win fight. I want win fight. I need win fight. I'll do my best to NH Mart is really fight. I give for really fight.
Thank you, David. This is a wonderful fight. Josh Kelly against David AVANESYAN, European welterweight championship. I enjoyed that. I can't wait. This is what it's all about. The talking will stop. The two men will get in the ring at a pivotal moment in their career. Do not miss it. Plenty of announcements coming over the next... Sorry?
I have a present for Adam.
For me?
For Adam.
Oh, for Adam.
Yeah. Right. There's been a lot of, I don't know, serious stuff said today. So let's finish on humour. I have a present for Adam. He has a lot of problems in life. So I've got, because it's relevant, there you go, Eddie. And I've also got some condoms to stop him pulling out. Here he has problems in boxing and outside of boxing. Give them to Adam, yeah? And after it, we'll say no more. Enjoy March the 28th, yeah, Adam?
That's very good. That's,
Yeah.
How long did it take you to think of
The
that
small as well then, mate, yeah?
one? How long did it take you to think of that one?
How long did it take what?
How long did it take you to think of this joke here?
Oh, it just come, natural.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you just happen to find these at the table, did you?
No, I brought them. I know you love me, Adam, that's what it is.
You did
You know?
a very good job. Well done, son.
Ladies and gentlemen, we can't wait. March 28th, O2 Arena, live on Sky Sports, live on DAZN across the US. Be there, tune in. Thank you for coming.
Gold Star Promotions is proud to present Floyd Money Mayweather. The man himself is coming to the UK for his UK tour, February and March 2020. For all info and tickets, goldstarpromotions.co.uk.